Hey guys, some of you might have noticed I haven't made a video in about 5 months now, but I've put together a little video in order to better communicate where I've been all this time. Roll it. Oh, that's the end of the video. So apparently I've been up to all, which is fine, because that's a boast Nintendo and I can both share from this year. 2019 has been a bit of a whoops so far, Nintendo speaking, at least in my opinion. Now, yes, the end of the year does look pretty rad, but the first half was a real stinker. We got Yoshi's Crafted World, which was Yoshi's Crafted World, and Super Mario Maker 2, which is an admittedly great title, but that's 2 games in 6 months. And this is in the 3rd year of the console, the year which is usually the biggest for Nintendo systems. 2008, 2013, and 2014 for the Wii, 3DS, and Wii U respectively were gold mines. This year, it's a bit lame. In Nintendo's defense, I'm very excited for Luigi's Mansion 3, which looks great, and Banjo got confirmed for Smash Brothers, which is probably an unbeatable announcement for me. That's probably the most hyped I'll ever be for a video game conference. But other than that, we had Box Boy and Box Girl dropping in April, and man, does no one talk about this game. For good reason, it's not very good. It's a little puzzle-solving game, but it feels kinda clunky to control, and for a game this simple, it's kinda not good enough. It seems like Nintendo games usually cause this big discussion, but this game just did nothing. Heck, I still see people talk about ARMS occasionally. This game was dead on arrival, which doesn't usually happen to Nintendo IPs. A feat which can be shared with Sushi Striker, The Way of Sushido. Did everyone on the planet completely forget about this game until, well, when I just said it out loud? Sushi Striker The Way of Sushido was initially announced at E3 2017, launching exclusively to the Nintendo 3DS. And I actually remember there was a bit of disturbance about this at the time. A lot of people weren't fond of the idea that Nintendo were chucking a game on the 3DS, let alone a new IP, right after the Switch dropped. The game kind of faded away, and then 9 months later, on March 9th, Nintendo announced the title for Nintendo Switch, and the ability to play the game online multiplayer, and a launch day simultaneous with that of the 3DS version. This news barely caught traction, however, as it was the same day that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was announced for Nintendo Switch, which, is the ultimate spotlight stealer. Sushi Striker fades out for a couple months, and launches on June 8th, 2018, for a full $70 in Australia, ouch, and I said nope, and never looked back. But just the other day, I was browsing EB Games, just checking out a new sale and whatever, and saw Sushi Striker was only $19, and figured, why not, it's a game published by Nintendo I haven't picked up yet, and I can go without eating for a day. Weird tangent, but as I was buying this game, the woman who served me told me the game was, as of now, discontinued by Nintendo, at least in Australia. And trust me, you don't want to buy this game digitally. Imagine this. You open the Nintendo eShop, spot Growtopia, it's free, and you go, yep, I'm getting that, looks brilliant. You download it, and then you decide, hey, how much is Sushi Striker going for these days? And you write in the name, and holy it's $69.95. Also, the Growtopia icon for the Switch is disgusting, and I immediately pushed that further back in my library as a result. Sushi Striker launched for a full $70 in Australia, $50 in the United States. Problem number 1, right? But there were several other problems with the game at launch too. I actually think the timing of the release was a primary cause of the game's lack of success. Nintendo's E3 conference was June 12th, less than a week later than the launch date of Sushi Striker on June 8th, and usually a couple weeks before E3, people don't buy games. During E3, games go on mad sales, or sometimes even become free during that period. You don't buy games in that time. And then after Nintendo's conference, all the new the few announcements stole the spotlight, but Sushi Striker got absolutely demolished by that Everyone Is Here trailer. It was a brand new game, a new IP, and it got completely slaughtered online by people just talking about a new trailer for Smash Brothers. It was just poor timing all around. Sushi Striker had an absolutely dismal launch, and whilst it's pretty difficult to find exact numbers online, the estimates are shocking. I have a lot of friends on my Switch, and I don't think I've seen a single one of them play this game before. In the whole year it's been out. During the launch week of the game, it moved around 7,627 copies in Japan for both the 3DS and Switch versions. For comparison, ARMS, a new IP as well, launching only on Switch, sold 100,652 copies in this same launch period. And, as detailed by Nintendo Life, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, a port of a Wii U game that didn't even do that great, sold more in the week Sushi Striker came out in than Sushi Striker. Fucking yikes. It's a shame too, because this is a very Japanese game, So the fact that it did so poorly over there, yeah, coupled with the news that the physical copies got discontinued, it's safe to say that this game died. Honestly though, I think it's kind of a shame. I've been playing through the campaign mode of this game. I tried to find someone online multiplayer, but gave up on that after a little bit. The actual gameplay itself, though, is really solid. It's quite a lot of fun. Upon booting the game up, you're welcome to this pretty Japanese opening cutscene, and whilst it's not totally my thing, I gotta respect it, it's pretty high quality. It seems like there was a lot of love put into this opening sequence, and it definitely caught me off guard. And I think that's the same with a lot of the game. The game definitely has its own personality, and it stands out a lot. The game has an abundance of cutscenes. I might actually argue too much. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying cutscenes or whatever are bad, but after a couple levels I did start to skip them. They're overly long for my tastes, and I feel like a lot of the 2-minute cutscenes could have been summed up in a quick sentence for the most part, and I just wanted to get to the gameplay. The core gameplay of Sushi Striker revolves around connecting plates of sushi with one another, trying to create the largest combo possible within a 7-second time period. Usually, but not always, you'll be up against a computer player who is attempting to rack up combos to throw trays at you to lower your HP. And your goal is to knock them out before they knock you out. You can also equip different spirits which aid you in battle as they give you varying different abilities, whether that being to electrocute the opponent with attacks or by skipping more trays for further combos. There's actually quite a lot of customization to play around with here, and it does significantly change how you play the game. I've had a lot of fun with Sushi Striker, and I would say for the most part, it's relatively well polished. Except the 3D environments, Jesus Christ. The 3D environments in this game look like they hired some guy that had the longest lunch breaks ever, wink wink, and 2 days before the launch of the game was like, oh, this is for a game? And he quickly put together a bunch of assets in a couple days. Some of the background environments are flat out ugly, and the map is pretty as well. I think the camera is too close to the player, and some of the things in the environment just aren't made for the player in mind. You just straight up walk through objects on the map, and the map doesn't even change in the story, even though certain objects should disappear or be removed. There's a segment here, I guess, you get on the boat, but the boat stays in place and you just move out to the water and then come back. Any part of the game with a 3D component looks rushed and bad, and I don't know why they didn't just stick to 2D art, since the rest of it is great. I assume maybe for the 3DS version, but I still think this was the wrong move. Bad 3D aside though, the game's charming and pretty polished, so who's to say what the issue with the game was? The price. The price was the f***ing issue of the game. This game should not have been a nearly full price title. The game definitely has depth, but so does Dr. Mario, and that usually sells for $7. I feel completely content with my purchase of this game for $20 because that's honestly how much this game is worth. My earlier comment towards Box Boy and Box Girl wasn't just to crap on that game, it was to bring up a fair comparison. Nintendo priced that game accordingly. They knew it wouldn't be a heavy hitter major title. It was a small eShop game, and this should have followed in the steps of that, joining the ranks of things like Pushmo and Dylan's Rolling Western. I don't think this is solely a problem with Sushi Striker, however. I just think Nintendo seems to have become a bit greedy this generation. Firstly, why is the Switch version more expensive than the 3DS version? One could argue that the game being programmed for a dual display would actually be more complicated to design, so what's with the Switch tax? Why is this one meant to be more expensive? Yoshi's Crafted World and Kirby Star Allies? Bad games? No. Full price games? No. These should have been discount titles like Captain Toad, which I do think was priced appropriately. On the Wii U, why are ports of old games the same price as new games? I was lucky enough to grab both Tropical Freeze and Captain Toad on sale, but why does Nintendo think these games should be as expensive as, Odyssey or Breath of the Wild? Furthermore, Tropical Freeze was more expensive than the Wii U? What a joke. Nintendo is repeatedly selling games on the Switch with a weirdly high entry fee, as if the consumer should be paying for the ability to play the games portably? But when we paid that fee? When we bought the console. We bought a Switch for the portable luxury. We don't buy every game for that luxury. Imagine if every 3DS game was a console-priced experience because it offered 3D capabilities. Wouldn't that be ridiculous? Sushi Striker was sent out to die by Nintendo. They priced it horribly, they didn't even advertise it anywhere near enough or appropriately, and when the Switch version was discussed, it was followed by the Smash Bros. Ultimate announcement. All in all, it's a shame. It's genuinely quite a bit of fun. But seriously, do not buy this game for the suggested retail price. I saw recently in America GameStop was selling this game for $9. Honestly, go for it. Same with here in Australia, $20 is a great deal for this game. But don't go over that. It's a fun, surprisingly in-depth game that has a lot of content. But it's repetitive and honestly probably should have made more sense as one of their mobile titles, not a full-price game on Nintendo Switch. So what have we learned today? I don't know. Probably something about Oh, my family saw the icon of Growtopia. Yeah, I got a week to move out.